All right, it is Wednesday, June 3rd. It is Hump Day, and I'm here with Sara Haines. Hello,
Hump
Sara.
Day with Haines.
All right, let's start with the last segment we just did, which was we had young movie star Nicholas Galitzine.
Yeah.
Am I saying it right? Galitzine?
I think so.
Yeah, it's like Galitzine, like magazine.
Okay.
He was here for Masters of the Universe. He's He-Man. This audience went nuts.
Well, I think they were here more for the red, white, and royal blue.
Well, I couldn't tell because there were some Masters of the Universe shirts in the audience.
Absolutely.
But it was definitely a lot of young women screaming at the top of their lungs for this guy. And yeah, I don't know if they were all as diehard He-Man fans as I was.
Okay, so wait,
That's
let's just share a little inside baseball here. When we have someone here, a celebrity, and they have multiple lanes,
Yeah.
different movies, different projects, sometimes old projects, we often have conversations about, okay, if you had to put money down, what are they here for?
Yes.
And we had just talked about this, you, me, and Alyssa, right before he came out.
Right.
But when the audience went wild, one, they clearly love him.
Yes.
That's established. I felt the audience reacted the strongest to red, white, and royal blue.
Okay. I thought, and I'm not going to disagree with you because they also reacted when they showed a shot of him shirtless. That seemed to be one in the
yeah,
clip.
but people would react if they'd never seen him before with that. I mean, it's a
suppose
good
so.
shot.
I suppose so.
But you know what killed me?
What?
So He-Man is such a part of our childhood. You know,
Oh my God. Yeah.
You were talking about how when you got the Skeletor castle.
When I got Castle Grayskull, that was
yeah.
one of the core memories of my life. Christmas morning, getting Castle Grayskull was the best. I mean, that was like Santa came through. Nothing's going to top this.
So my brother got that castle.
Yeah.
We're a year apart, and I always loved his toys because boys' toys were more interactive than a lot of girls' things. So I used to sing karaoke on Skeletor's castle.
Oh,
remember how it changed
yeah.
your voice?
Sure. It was the Snake Mountain. Yes.
Yes. So I remember that too. But hearing right after Whoopi says that part, and you're like, yeah, I'm on board. They're like, you weren't even alive when he met. And I thought, and done.
And ruined.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's ruined. But yeah, so He-Man meant, I think this is a movie that appeals to people that think he's very attractive, which apparently there are many.
Fans of him.
Fans of him. I don't know the red, white, and blue series.
It's a two young gay men. One is
Okay.
in the royal family.
Oh.
And so I also think gay relationships are having a moment in mainstream culture in a
Clearly.
way they never have before.
Heated rivalry.
Heartbreakers.
Yes, definitely. All right, so there we go. Speaking of other things that have been happening on the show, let's pivot in a direct way here. Yesterday was another big show, different reasons. Former First Lady Jill Biden was here. What did you take away from that conversation? I thought it was really interesting.
I found the most glaring thing for me with the Bidens and all that's gone on is the question I always come back to, which was the question I asked her in kind of that post-debate moment. That is kind of the precipice for how people feel about the Bidens, like whether he should have run again, whether he shouldn't. When I think of Dr. Jill Biden, I always wonder, like, how she didn't protect President Biden more. And I say that, and people are probably thinking it's not her job, whatever. But there's something about a man that has served for 50 years in public service. That means you've been a servant to the public if you're doing your job right. They have lost so much over the years, from President Biden's first wife dying in a car accident to losing their son, Beau, to Hunter's struggles at one point with addiction. This family has seen their fair share of bad things. And yet, Dr. Biden writes in her book that after the debate moment, she thought President Biden was having a stroke. To me, politics is over at that moment and our mortality comes in. I have always wondered why you wouldn't walk away eventually to enjoy the sunset. You have served for so long, and the presidency itself we've always talked about the toll it takes, the aging it does to people, the damage it does just to their health. That is the most stressful and consequential job in the world. And so I asked...
they did get there not too long after the debate, but
they got there because people turned on them. Mm-hmm. I don't know if left in a vacuum.
That's a good question.
Yeah, whether they would have continued on. And she said, knowing what she knows now, she doesn't think he could have run for 4 more years, but she kept saying, I follow the doctors. I follow the doctors. I still take umbrage with that answer because I have elderly parents. My mom battles Parkinson's. My dad is even older. He's President Biden's age. He's 84 this year in August. There's a point where as their child, but also watching them as a married couple of 57 years, you're recognizing you're in the end. You're in your twilight years. There's less in front of you than there is behind. And the saying that no one puts on their gravestone, I wish I spent more time in the office. Everyone's heard that saying. We all know life was about the dash in between. How do you not hold tighter to someone you think is having a medical crisis? That is when you cling and you get protective and all those natural instincts kick in and it is bigger than politics. She answered, she said she followed the doctors. I still don't feel that was adequate. I still am troubled by all of it. But it's not, I don't lose sleep over it. I don't think about it. I thought about it because she wrote about it. And that's why it came back to my mind.
Tissues are over there.
I'm not going to cry.
Okay.
But I even told President Biden when he came, I don't know how many months ago that was, I hate calling her Jill because she's a doctor.
With Dr. Biden.
Dr. Biden. When they both came, I remember holding President Biden's hands. I'm a big fan of his.
Yes.
Anyone that's ever been around him would want to have a drink with him or coffee if you don't drink. I held his hands and I said, I hope you have a moment where you finally get to sit down. That's all I wanted for him. Yeah. And I'm not related to him. I know him from this job. He's not my dad. He's not my family member.
I'm sorry that he's battling cancer now. And the fact that he doesn't get that leisurely retirement.
And the reason, so I didn't know he had, that's what we're learning newly. But the reason I always say that part about sit down, you've served enough is I know 3 different people that went into retirement from the media business that I worked side by side with that were waiting for that moment. They retire and some of them within 2 months, unexpected heart attack, died. I watched people that served so much time in the service of others. And these were profit jobs. This wasn't public service. And they never get the moment to relax and look back on what they've done. President Biden, I kept thinking that every time. And I just don't know how the family doesn't.
The reaction to the interview was so fascinating to me because, as you know, I read things that more than I should. But people took from that interview whatever they wanted to take from it. There were people who thought we didn't ask hard enough questions. There were people who thought Alyssa in particular was brutal with her questions and were furious at them.
Alyssa has never delivered a brutal question. She asked tough questions with the integrity and grace of someone actually wanting to know the answer.
Necessary questions that need to be asked. I thought she did a great job, as always. You all did. I thought we did a really well-balanced interview. But it's funny because the Bidens are very polarizing in a way that I never really stopped to think they were.
They are at that table, too, though, because I'm a huge President Biden fan, voted for him. I am always a person first, party second. His personality will win you over if you meet him. I love him. I did call for him to step down soon after the debate.
Which was a big kind of turning point for you on the show in a lot of ways, I think, because that was, you've talked about being an independent a lot. Yeah. And I think that was something where this was you were the only one at the table that day who said he needs to step down. That was a big thing.
And Alyssa likes President Biden personally, but said, I'm highly critical of his performance in office. Like she says that openly. The table ventures into liking certain parts. Sunny has gone a little bit, recognizing the great things, but she was critical at some point. Sure. So that table is actually a divided table when it comes to strictly unemotional issues about President Biden.
Yeah, on most things, the table's divided. That's the funny thing.
Well, that is the funny thing. But on this issue, I'm like, gosh, if they only knew.
Yeah, if they only knew. All right, moving on. Today, we talked about Tennessee Congressman Andy Ogles tweeting a horrible tweet that said homosexuality has no place in America. And your response was instantly iconic. It was,
if you come for the gays, you come for all of us.
If you come for the gays, you come for all of us.
Yes.
All right, I think that's true. The tweet was thankfully taken down. There are openly gay members of Congress. There are openly gay members of the Trump administration. It seems in 2026, the fact that an elected official is putting that out there, and now he claimed it was taken down. It was posted by an anonymous aide. Yeah. So many of those running around.
So this bothers me on levels that are beyond just don't tweet it. I don't want anyone thinking it. I don't want anyone's heart going there, because when you think about the world that we live in, and honestly, it is right now so deeply, the volume's turned up on hate everywhere. When you realize that there are people that just choose to love someone that you're saying they shouldn't, that you would ever castigate or condemn love on any level. And when it comes to families, the amount of gay people I know that have kids, what they don't take for granted are those kids, because biologically they're not allowed, without surrogacy or one partner caring or adoption, they don't have the privilege to neglect the fact that they're having kids. And being heterosexual does not make you a good parent. Exhibit A is just our social services and the system of foster care and all the things that people can't even take care of their own kids. When you fought to have a child, you look at that child differently. Some of the most loving, amazing families to me are gay parents, because they never take it for granted that they have a child. And so I have a personal wound when someone comes for that, because it is so hard to be married. It is so hard to have kids. It's all beautiful in its own way, but it's not a light load. So you have people doing it that had to fight for it, that don't take it for granted, and you're going to come for them?
Kara Swisher, who guest hosted today and did a great job, I thought, and is back tomorrow.
Speaking of pivoting.
But but she made a point that I thought was really impactful. She's concerned they're coming for gay marriage. And that's something that I've heard often. I've heard it at our table. And I have to say, the first couple times I heard it, I said, oh, that'll never happen. And you know what? I think you have to worry about it a little bit.
So I'm not the one to say if someone sees red flags or problems that they're not right. So I'm not condemning her take. I don't think in this day and age that could ever happen. And I
hope not.
Well, and some people say, but what about Roe v. Wade? Max, as a lawyer, had deeply schooled me in the legal weaknesses of Roe v. Wade and how it was passed. He had said it sat there like a hanging thing that people were coming for. And you could tell that whenever they were doing confirmation hearings. The reason they laid into that is because it was never codified. So it was always loosely floating there. Gay marriage, even though it was settled similarly in a legal way, had more support and could have passed state by state. In this day and age, it is just would be not the popular take, and I don't think it would ever have the support.
I hope you are correct.
And if they come for the gays.
Yeah. You've talked a lot about how your brother coming out really changed
but it predates
things. But I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
I was going to say that because I think people sometimes think this is an example of something that doesn't matter to me until it affects my life. But that's not the case.
That is not the case. So my brother came out to me when I was a sophomore in college. My kind of inkling into this world of questioning, having grown up in a church, no one outwardly in the church or my family ever said being gay is wrong. But like everyone, you read the Bible, you know certain things. 7th grade is when I was at basketball camp, and a lot of, probably disproportionately amount of gay women are in sports. I started to meet women that dated women. And I remember struggling as a 7th grader with, how could this be wrong? Like, I met both parties. Like, sometimes they played on the same teams to get, that wasn't a pun. Yeah. It was literal. But, and I remember really wrestling with, I don't think I agree with this take. And I never again ever openly discussed it with my parents. It didn't come up at our dinner table.
Right.
But I thought, if this is what people are saying, my gut, my prayer, my everything says this isn't right.
Well, I think it's so important for kids, and I think of this as a dad of teenagers now. It's just people need to get outside, and my kids are so much more well-adjusted and open-minded and aware of life than I was at that age. But when I was in high school, I didn't know anyone who was out. It was
in our time. It was not as
I didn't, and I'm sure there were many gay kids I went to high school with. I had no idea, or maybe I was just oblivious. It wasn't until I went away to college, and I made friends with gay people, and then worked with many, and I just am so glad to have gotten out of the sheltered world. So it's so important, I think, to move outside of your comfort zone, and if you can.
Yeah. Well, also, so to button up how deeply, the reason my brother came out to me was he said, I knew you were a safe space because you were an ally before I was
right.
comfortable telling anyone. And I was already living this world. I was on a college volleyball team where at least half the team was gay. I went to Smith College. The amount of gay people in my life at that point was the majority of my life. So by the time my brother came out, that was almost an afterthought.
Yeah.
So none of my feelings on this. But I was just going to say one more thing. The other thing about gay people is that is one detail in their lives. The generation we grew up in, and then if someone came out, that became their storyline. In this day and age, it's getting placed where it should, which is my day is not dictated by my heterosexuality. My sexuality doesn't come up. It does. But with gay people, it seems to be assigned to them. Meanwhile, they're out there like everyone else with jobs, kids, stresses, this, that. Sexuality is literally just one sliver of who they are.
Of course.
But they're literally reduced to that thing.
Right.
Only by people of our age and older. But the rest of the world kind of gets it a little more.
Definitely.
Not the rest of the world, sorry. There are a lot of countries that don't. But what I mean is the younger generations.
Yeah, it's very heartening, I think, actually, when you spend time with younger people.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Evidence, by the way, by Nicholas, the actor, coming today. The audience blew up. We didn't just recruit a gay audience that went crazy because the biggest movie they loved was a gay storyline. They were able to cross over. That's what, like, Heated Rivalry, Heartbreakers. The audience is not a gay audience. It's everyone.
And not solely a gay audience.
It's not solely a gay audience.
Right.
In fact, Heated Rivalry was most watched by straight women.
Yes.
So it shows you that there's a universality that people are starting to finally get.
All right. Moving on again, pivoting again. There's been a lot of debate at the table. This is the second time we talked about it this week of what's going on in Maine with Graham Platner. He's the Democrat running to unseat Susan Collins. You were basically saying that we can't complain about Donald Trump, then vote for someone with a similar amount of baggage, just because he's on the other team. And this is something that's kind of come up in different ways over the years. And there was really stark disagreement at the table today. You and Alyssa both say there's no way you can support this guy. Kara and Sonny, who was conflicted earlier in the week, but I think thought about it and decided you got to make this sacrifice. And Whoopi, who I don't think is fully decided. But tell me why you feel so strongly about this.
Well, so I'm not a political operative.
No.
You know, Alyssa is at this table as someone who worked in the Republican Party and worked for an administration. Kara seeped in the political world. Sonny has done punditry with politics. I'm an independent, regular person watching the whole thing play out.
Drink because you said independent. But sorry.
But you have better drinking games to have at that table, and I can plan a few.
Yeah.
But when I look at a candidate, the reason I am independent is because parties have taken over. They've literally forced us to set aside everything we stand for the person wearing our jersey, and I refuse to be in that game. If someone is an anti-Semitic, racist, misogynist, someone who insults a Purple Heart earning military person, you've shown me who you are, and I cannot say this strongly enough. His attack on a fellow military, someone who served and earned the Purple Heart because this man took fire so his team could be saved. Platner came for him, telling him he should be dead. If they had better aim, he would be. Oh, if you can say that at any point in your life, whether you're suffering from PTSD or have problems, if that's in you, you're not the right person to serve the public. The American public, it comes in all colors, all shapes, all sizes, all ages, all sexual preferences, all religions, you name it, all. If you have come for all those groups, when you're tweeting and doing your stuff, I see you, and you're not the guy for here. You're done. Susan Collins, again, she's a Republican, and I don't often align with the things she votes for. I know she has voted with Donald Trump a lot. But the reason I've loved her, and what's the other one? Collins and Murkowski. Those two women have repeatedly shown bipartisan capabilities. You're going to woo the independent that thinks partisan politics has gotten out of hand if you've shown me you're reasonable enough to sometimes work with the other side. We say that every time a politician runs. I want someone that shows me they can work with the other side like the good old days. I'd much rather have a Susan Collins. I would go nowhere near Platner. Again, it is up to Maine. I'm not a Maine voter. I do deeply believe that our system can work. They can decide. But if you're asking my opinion, we can do a hell of a lot better. There are millions of Americans eligible to run. we need someone else.
At the bottom line, this is a conversation about whether the ends justifies the means. And
yes, and I'm not Machiavellian. I do not believe they do. I want to sleep at night, and I know at the end of the road I answer for what I did. I will not compromise that for a party jersey. And also, the other thing is, now the secondary part is consistency. You cannot attack the Trump administration and how awful Donald Trump has been as a human, all the people he surrounds himself, all their scandals, if you're saying, well, for Platner, I'd plug my nose and vote, that's what people condemned the country for.
Right.
Oh, so you're complicit because you were willing to vote for someone who bragged about sexual assault, who's a race. I'm not saying all those things, but these are the things we've heard. If you voted, you were willing to let it slide. Well, now in consistency, if you're saying you support Platner, you're the same thing.
All right. I think it's a good argument. I think we'll be talking about it some more for sure. Yeah. There's a documentary out that's doing really well on Netflix called The Crash. It's caught your attention. It's been on our list for about a week and a half, and we keep trying to get it in, and we haven't had time to yet. Tell me about this.
This is one, you got to watch it. It's a conversation starter. Everyone I know that's watched it, we have so many thoughts. But this is the story about the 17-year-old girl who killed 2 passengers in her car going 100 miles per hour into a brick wall. And the whole premise of it, when you think of that, is, was there alcohol? Was there drugs? Come to find out, she ends up getting convicted of her intentional driving into that wall. And it's the story that unfolds. Some of the most fascinating parts to me, if you hone in on my obsession, is this character herself. She's called Sharilla the Killer in prison. That's her nickname, and she likes it. But her parents, I can't get past her parents. Her parents in the documentary, there are clips where you're seeing all the parents. Davion's parents, that's the passenger in the back. Dom, the boyfriend to the driver, who's also there. And then, what's her first name? I'm blanking. It's Sharilla, but it'll come to me, or maybe it won't. But her parents start to talk like regular parents, saying, we've all made mistakes. It's so hard being a parent. We don't judge, all this stuff. Meanwhile, the documentary uncovers not just a social media presence that's really problematic, like talking about, I do drugs, I'm just lucky not to die, and like all this stuff with pot, constantly, like, it's one thing the dad says, Sharilla's dad says, if you're going to pick a drug, I'd rather have it be marijuana because the others are more dangerous. We can talk about that. But to fill your whole social media profile with just smoking marijuana all day, every day, to me as a parent, problematic. Also, gets sent home from school because she's literally having tirades against teachers and administrators with every word I couldn't say here. Bleepity, bleep, bleep, bleep. The dad shows up at school one day and says, did you do it? And she's like, no. And he's like, I know, my daughter. That was good enough for me. It shows you what happens when you literally feed the beast and do no parenting.
Mackenzie
Sharilla. But I literally, the only feeling is I want to sit down and have a fruitful conversation about, do you really think that you had regular parent mistakes?
You want to talk
with
to
this child?
The parents.
I'm dying to sit down with them and say, are you serious? You don't look and think that's problematic. I don't even want to go to my parents and use them as the gold standard because that's too obvious. I'd say 9 out of 10 sets of parents that send their kids to school would be deeply concerned if their kid is literally abusing teachers and administrators, getting kicked out of school, posting about drugs, weed, not just doing it, which we can all debate. She's in her car smoking weed, like smoke up her face, all the way through her TikToks. She's a bully. She's mean. She's now had 4 girlfriends in prison, shown the same abusive behavior, no remorse. This all happened in July of one year. By October, she's out for Halloween dressed as a skeleton. It was a character of sorts, but she's having fun. If I killed 2 people, I don't know if I'd ever stand back up again or how I would move forward in the world. 0 remorse.
All right. Sharilla the Killer. I got
Sharilla the Killer. Killer.
Yeah.
That's how they say it in the Clinker.
Have you been to the Clinker?
No. Is it called the Clinker or is it the Clink?
Clink. It's the Clink, Sarah. Thank you. All right. On that note, thanks for joining me today, Sara Haines. Tomorrow, I'll be here with Alyssa and our guest co-host from
Your
today
favorite,
and tomorrow.
Alyssa.
She's not my favorite. She was ranked number two. And and you were number 3.
Taking second to Joy is like taking first.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. That seems to be what bothers you, though, that Alyssa out-edged you out.
Well, I love Alyssa, and I see why, but that feels deeply like, why her?
Mm-hmm. Again,
continued.
I'm not saying that I feel this way. This is what the people are
Don't
getting.
Don't tease me, Brian.
From
Don't
our
tease me.
I'm just saying. It's a thing. This is what people watching this are saying, that based on our interactions, who they feel my favorites are.
I might have voted for Alyssa, too, when it comes to that. I recognize my place in the lineup.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even, frankly, 3 is pretty...
I've been a third my whole life, literally in my family and now. Mm-hmm. I get it. Forgotten and invisible, whatever. Go on.
All right. Tomorrow, I'm here with Alyssa and our guest co-host from today and tomorrow, Kara Swisher. She's back, and we'll see you then.